another live lesson. I'm Brian Baker here at your music lesson studio, Brian Baker Guitar Studio. We're located at KB Oasis Youth Center at 26 Pettengill Road, Crispam, Sis, New Brunswick, Canada. Here with another live lesson, and today we're going to talk about minor chords. Where do they come from? What's the theory behind a minor chord? What does it all mean? And before we do that, I think we'll do a little jam. We'll maybe do a jam in E minor. It might be fun. You know, it's cool to make chords and make major chords and minor chords and seventh chords, but when they start to mean a little something more and you start to understand how they're made and what's going on, you can start to have a little bit more fun with your instrument, and it helps you to improvise easier, to ad-lib, and you won't get lost as easier when you're playing things that you have memorized because you'll know how to fix them all on the fly. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go over a few little theory tips about minor chords. So we'll do a little jam in E minor. Making it up. I guess I used to call it blues changes in E minor. Brian's blues, we'll call it that maybe. I don't know. What we're going to talk about today though, we're going to get back into it and talk about the theory behind minor chords. So let's talk about minor chords. So you have major chords, for example. They have E major and A major and D major and G and C, so on. All the major chords that you learn. I guess A through to G would be the ones you would learn with the sharps and flats in between. So there's 8 of them. So there's majors, there's minors, there's sevenths, there's, 13s, there's sus4s and sus2s and add9s and you name it. And so what does all that mean? That all means something. So whenever you see a chord with the number after it, that's just telling you to add degrees of the scale. So like a G major 7 means to have a G major chord, but you're going to add in the 7th degree of the scale. A minor chord, what we're talking about today, though, a minor chord has what's called a flat third. So the theory behind this is that the major chord, let's start with E, so we were just jamming in E. Your major chords are made out of scale degrees. So each note in the scale gets a number. Okay, so I'll play the E scale and it goes like this. Okay, then I give each note a number, 1 through 8, or its degree. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I take the notes 1, 3, and 5 out of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, there's 1, there's 5, there's 1, and this note right here is the third. This note, the open B string down here, is the 5th, and down here is the root E again. Okay, and I can get all those because I can go through the scale through 2 octaves. I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 becomes 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Open string. Okay? So 1, 3s, and 5s. So if I take the 1, 3, and 5, you end up with this shape, okay? So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can memorize the scale. This is kind of like the traditional way to do things. You would learn the scale first, and then learn that 1, 3, and 5 out of the scale make the chord. And then you come up with this shape. There was another note. There's a third over here too, but you can't reach them all. Okay? It's nice to start on the root. So anyway, you go through that and you get this shape. Okay? And then what you want to do is you want to start memorizing that this note, your string, is the root. This next note here, and this shape is the fifth. This is the root. This is the third. Okay, so this is the third. So a minor chord, this is the key. Minor chord has what's called a flat third. So to make this shape a minor, I have to flat this note here. So all I do to flatten a note is just move it back one fret, or if it's on the first fret, back to open, and then I have what's left is this. Then the third degree of my scale, or my chord, right there has been flatted. Okay, so you can memorize the scale, and then realize that each note in the scale has a degree, and that 1, 3, and 5 make the chord, and then 1 flat 3 and 5 make up a minor chord, or you can just look at the shape. This is what's kind of cool about guitar, is you can just memorize the shapes, all right? Depending on how advanced you want to take your theory, but just memorize the shape and just learn the E chord and know that note right there is the third, and to flat it, you just go like that. And I'll go through some other examples kind of in the same thing, all right? So here's the A chord, all right? So on the A chord, you have A as the root, then you have an E note here, which is the fifth. This note here is the root again. This note here, that's the third in the chord. Okay, so we know in this shape, that note right there is the third. So in order to flat the third, to make the minor harmony, or the minor chord, I take that note, move it back one, and put the other two notes where they were again, and that gives me my A minor chord, and that's why this shape, when you learn A minor chord, that's why you're learning to put your fingers on here. Okay? Like I've said before in another video, these chords are not random. I mean, I always kind of make the reference, you know, that some people, you know, 200 years ago were sitting around a bonfire with a guitar and going, okay, here's this, and then if I put my fingers in, it didn't happen that way. Okay, let's go through another example. Here's D chord. We'll just do a couple more. This theory is heavy sometimes. All right, so we're on D chord. The degrees in this shape right here. This is the root here, D. So when you strum your D chord, you want to strum from your D string. D chord, D string. This note right here, this is A, that's the fifth of the chord. This note that you're holding down is D, that's the 1 or the root, and this middle finger here is the third. So that is the note that you're going to have to flat to make a minor sound, or minor harmony, or minor chord. So what happens is, if you look at my shape, this is the note, the third, that I have to flat. So to flat the third, I just go back one fret and put my other fingers back to where they were, and that gives me a D minor. Now I have one flat third and fifth. D major will be here. Another way to make a D major. You wouldn't want to finger a D major this way. That's too hard, but you want to place your fingers this way. But just so you can see it, there's major and there's minor. You always can tell the majors are a little bit happy. Now they're nice and right. And then you get the minor, kind of sad. So there's the minor chord. Let's go through one more example. What did we talk about so far? We did E, we did A, we did D. Let's do F. Well, F's the same as E. Let's not do F. What else could we do? Where is another minor chord? Well, let's talk about B minor. You know, you get B minor in your bar chords, and you learn B minor up here like this. Okay, so you do the same thing when you learn your bar chords. You just got to learn what the degrees are of the chord. Two ways you can do it. You can learn the scale, memorize it that way. That's the way that I did it. And that's one way. That's a very traditional way. Or you can just memorize the chord and just memorize what's going on with each finger in each note that you're pushing down. So in B minor here, I have the root, I have the fifth here, I have the root here. This note right here is the third. So this is a B minor. So this is the third right here. So it's already been moved back one half step, or I've flatted the third. Now to make this minor back into the major chord, you know, isn't that exciting? We're gonna go like this. So what happened there is that this was the third, and I've moved it over to make it major. So this is 1, 5, 1, 5, 3. I have the first, I have the fifth, have my root, and I have my third. Okay? And then this way I have my root, I have my fifth, I have the root, and a flat third over there. Okay? Hopefully this helps. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more kids. We'll be back. We'll do our little jam again. That was my rant on how to make minor chords and scale degrees and the degrees that are in your chord from the scale, otherwise known as the arpeggio. That's another lesson maybe coming up for next time. An arpeggio is basically just the notes of a chord played one at a time. So instead of playing your chord, let's say B minor, you can just play the notes of that chord one at a time in an arpeggio from the scale. We can talk about that later. Let's go and do our jam again. We'll get back in the key of E minor. And we'll send you home with a little blues in E minor, I guess. Thanks for watching, everybody. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know, too, if there's anything you want to talk about on here. I like doing these live streams. They're a lot of fun to do. Everybody, have fun making your minor chords, and hopefully you understand a little bit more about a little bit of guitar theory. See y'all next time.